The patrol car rolled to a stop outside the county animal hospital, slow, like the officers inside didn't want to arrive. In the back, Rex lay curled against the seat, his ribs pressed through thinning fur. Each breath came shallow, uneven, the kind of breathing that tells you, this is it. They'd made the decision 3 days ago, signed the papers, finalized the file, terminal diagnosis, organ failure, no quality of life left. Today was goodbye. But as Officer Mitchell killed the engine, his hand stayed on the key. He didn't move, didn't look back, just stared through the windshield at nothing. "We should go," his partner said quietly. Mitchell nodded, but he still didn't move, because Rex wasn't just any dog. He was the canine who'd saved Mitchell's life during a warehouse raid 2 years ago. Took a knife meant for his chest. He was the dog whose name was etched into the precinct wall after 5 years of heroic service. The dog kids asked to pet at school visits, and now they were here. To end it. Pause. They lifted Rex from the car. His legs trembled. His eyes, once sharp, alert, unstoppable, were glassy now, distant. Inside the clinic, officers lined the hallway, silent, heads down. No one spoke. "What do you say?" Dr. Elaine Carter, the senior veterinarian, met them at the desk. She took the file without a word, flipped it open. Terminal, organ failure, recommendation, immediate euthanasia. She'd seen this before, too many times. "Let's make this as comfortable as possible," she said softly. Mitchell nodded, still couldn't speak. They began walking Rex toward the examination room, the one at the end of the hall. The one with the metal table and the single chair in the corner where handlers sit and say their last words. But then Rex stopped, not weak, not stumbling. Stopped. His head lifted, his ears twitched, his nose caught something, no, someone. A little girl, sitting alone in the waiting area. Pink jacket, scuffed shoes, face red and swollen from crying. She couldn't have been more than 6. And Rex pulled. Before anyone could react, he shuffled toward her, slow but deliberate, like every step was a choice. The officers froze. "Rex," Mitchell started, but the dog didn't stop. He reached the girl, lowered himself beside her chair, and then, something no one had ever seen him do on duty, he wrapped his front legs around her. A hug. The girl gasped. Her small hands flew to his fur, and she collapsed into him, sobbing so hard her whole body shook, like she'd been waiting her entire life for this moment. The room went silent. Dr. Carter frowned. Officers shifted uncomfortably. Rex wasn't trained for this. That's when Dr. Carter noticed something. His breathing. It wasn't weaker. It was steadier. The girl buried her face in Rex's neck, her tears soaking into his fur. And Rex, dying, terminal, barely able to stand moments ago, held her. His trembling slowed. His chest rose and fell in steady rhythm. His eyes, glassy and distant just seconds before, sharpened. Dr. Carter's stomach tightened. "That's not possible." She glanced at the heart monitor clipped to her belt, the portable one she'd attached to Rex during intake. His heart rate had been erratic, dangerous. She'd seen the spikes herself. Now, normal, stable. Like he'd just woken from a nap. She stepped closer. "Excuse me, sweetheart. Do you know this dog?" The girl didn't look up, just nodded into Rex's fur. "How?" Dr. Carter pressed gently. The girl whispered something. Quiet, broken. Dr. Carter leaned in. "You promised you'd come back." The words hit like a slap. Promises like that don't come from strangers. Dr. Carter turned to the officers. Who is she? Mitchell's face went pale. His partner, a younger guy named Torres, answered too quickly. Just a civilian. No relation. No relation? Dr. Carter repeated slowly. Then why is she here? Alone? In a veterinary clinic? Torres opened his mouth, closed it. Mitchell looked away. Dr. Carter's pulse quickened. She glanced back at Rex, at the girl, at the way the dog's paw rested protectively over her small shoulder. This wasn't random. I'm going to need a minute, Dr. Carter said, her voice firm now. She turned and walked toward her office, Rex's file clutched in her hand. Behind her, Mitchell muttered something under his breath. Torres hissed back, Not here, not now. But Dr. Carter had already heard enough. She shut the door, laid the file on her desk, and opened it again, this time slowly. Terminal diagnosis. Organ failure. Test results attached. She flipped to the lab work. Dated 3 weeks ago. Then she saw it. A second set of results. Different date, different lab. Same dog. Completely normal. Her breath caught. Someone had altered this file. Dr. Carter stared at the 2 sets of results. One said Rex was dying, the other said he was fine. She cross-referenced the dates. The first test, the one showing organ failure, was dated November 14th. The second, showing normal health, was dated November 21st, a week after the terminal diagnosis. That's not how terminal illness works. You don't get worse, then better, then worse again in 7 days. Unless someone wanted you gone. Dr. Carter's hands shook as she flipped deeper into the file. Case notes, incident reports, deployment logs. Rex had been pulled from active duty 6 weeks ago. Reason listed, declining health and behavioral concerns. Behavioral concerns? She scanned further. October 10th. Rex successfully located suspect in warehouse raid. Evidence recovered. 3 arrests made. October 12th. Case transferred to Internal Affairs. October 15th. Case closed. Suspects released. Evidence insufficient. October 18th. Rex removed from duty. Dr. Carter's blood ran cold. He found something, and then the case disappeared. And then he disappeared. She grabbed her phone, dialed the precinct's main line. Records, please. A click. A pause. This is Dr. Carter from County Animal Hospital. I need the supervising officer on the Rex euthanasia case. Now. Another pause. That would be Lieutenant Greer, but he's not available. Then make him available. She hung up. 30 seconds later, her office door swung open. Mitchell stood there, face hard, arms crossed. You need to stop, he said quietly. Stop what? Asking questions. Dr. Carter stood. That dog out there isn't dying. Someone falsified his records, and that little girl knows him. So I'll ask again, who is she? Mitchell didn't answer. Tell me, Dr. Carter demanded. He exhaled slowly, looked over his shoulder, then stepped inside and closed the door. Her name is Sarah, he said. She's the daughter of Vincent Cole. You won't find him in any database. But 6 weeks ago, Rex pulled her out of a locked basement during a raid. Dr. Carter's chest tightened. Trafficking? Mitchell nodded. High-level operation. Organized. Protected. Rex found her by accident. She wasn't supposed to be there. He stayed with her until medics arrived. Wouldn't leave her side. And the case? Buried. Suspects walked. Evidence vanished. 2 weeks later, Rex's health declined. Dr. Carter's voice dropped to a whisper. They're putting him down because he's a witness. Mitchell said nothing, but his silence said everything. Dr. Carter pushed past Mitchell and walked back into the waiting area. Rex was still there, still holding Sarah. She knelt beside them, gently touched Rex's head. His eyes met hers, clear, focused, alive. This dog was not dying. She stood and turned to Torres. "I need to speak with Lieutenant Greer. In person." Torres shifted. "He's not... now." 20 minutes later, Lieutenant Anthony Greer walked through the clinic doors. Tall, clean-cut, calm, too calm. "Dr. Carter," he said smoothly, "I understand there's been some confusion." "There's no confusion," she replied. "This dog isn't terminal." Greer smiled, patient, condescending. "I assure you, the diagnosis was thoroughly reviewed." "By who?" "Our department veterinarian." "I'd like to speak with them." "That won't be possible." "Why not?" "They're no longer with the department." Dr. Carter's jaw tightened. "Convenient." Greer's smile didn't waver. "Dr. Carter, I understand you care about animals, but this is a department matter. The decision has been made." "Then unmake it." "I can't do that." "You mean you won't?" Greer's expression hardened. "Rex is city property. His medical care falls under our jurisdiction. You're here to perform a service, not to question orders." "I'm here to save lives," Dr. Carter shot back. "And I'm not putting down a healthy dog." The room went silent. Greer stepped closer. His voice dropped. "You're making a mistake." "No," Dr. Carter said. "Someone else already did." She turned and walked back to Rex. Greer watched her, then nodded to Torres. "Proceed as planned," he said quietly. Torres hesitated. "Sir, the dog isn't..." "That's an order." Mitchell stepped forward. "Lieutenant, if there's even a chance..." "Mitchell," Greer interrupted, his tone ice cold. "If you value your career, you'll stand down." But before anyone could move, Sarah spoke. Her voice was tiny, fragile, but it carried. "Please don't take him." Everyone froze. Greer turned, stared at the little girl, and for the first time, his mask slipped, just for a second. But Dr. Carter saw it. Fear. Greer recovered quickly. "Sweetheart, this doesn't concern you." But Sarah didn't let go of Rex. "He saved me," she whispered. Greer's jaw clenched. "I'm sure he's a very good dog. He pulled me out." The air shifted. Dr. Carter stepped closer. "Out of where, Sarah?" The girl's eyes welled with tears. "The basement. It was dark and cold. And I heard people outside the door, and I was so scared. And then he came." She looked down at Rex. "He broke the door. He bit the man who locked me in. And he stayed with me until the police came. He didn't leave. He promised. He wouldn't leave." Greer's face went pale. Mitchell stared at him. Torres took a step back. Dr. Carter's voice was deadly calm. "Lieutenant Greer, what basement?" Greer said nothing. "What basement?" "This conversation is over." Greer turned toward the door. Dr. Carter moved to block him. "You're not leaving. You can't stop me." "No, but they can," she pointed. Two people stood in the doorway. Detectives, off-duty, civilian clothes, but unmistakable. One of them, a woman in her 40s with short gray hair, stepped inside. "Lieutenant Greer," she said quietly, "we need to talk." Greer's face hardened. "Detective Ruiz, you have no authority here." "Actually," Ruiz said, pulling out her phone, "I have a recording of this entire conversation, including your threat to Officer Mitchell, and your refusal to address a child's testimony about a locked basement." Greer's hand twitched toward his belt. Ruiz didn't flinch. "Don't." The second detective, a younger man with a scar across his cheek, moved to Greer's side. "You're done, Lieutenant." Greer looked around the room. At the officers, at Dr. Carter, at Sarah, still clutching Rex. And then he ran. He shoved past Ruiz, bolted through the door, and sprinted toward the parking lot. Torres started after him, but Mitchell grabbed his arm. "Let him go," Mitchell said quietly. "But let him go." Because they all knew. Running was a confession. Detective Ruiz didn't chase Greer. She didn't need to. She turned to Dr. Carter. "How long has Rex been here?" "About 30 minutes. And his condition?" "Stable. Healthy. Someone falsified his medical records." Ruiz nodded slowly, like she'd been expecting that. She looked at Rex, at Sarah, at the way the dog's body curled protectively around the little girl. "We need to take Sarah somewhere safe," Ruiz said. "No!" Sarah's voice cracked. "I'm not leaving him." Ruiz knelt beside her. "Sweetheart, Rex is going to be okay, but we need to make sure you're okay too." "I'm okay when he's here." Ruiz's expression softened. She glanced at her partner, Detective Cole. He nodded. "All right," Ruiz said gently. "Rex comes with us." Dr. Carter stepped forward. "Where are you taking them?" "Safe house, off the books." Ruiz stood. "We've been tracking Greer for months. We knew something was wrong with the Cole case. Evidence doesn't just vanish. Witnesses don't just disappear." "So why didn't you stop this sooner?" Dr. Carter demanded. "Because we needed proof." Ruiz held up her phone. "Now we have it." Mitchell spoke up. "What happens to Rex?" "He stays alive," Ruiz said firmly. "And he testifies." "Dogs can't testify." "No, but their actions can." Ruiz looked at Rex. "He found Sarah. He protected her. He uncovered evidence that Greer tried to bury. That's not just heroism. That's a witness." She turned to Dr. Carter. "Can you medically clear him?" Dr. Carter nodded. "He's healthy. The records were forged. I'll document everything." "Good." Ruiz motioned to Cole. "Get them loaded." As they prepared to leave, Dr. Carter pulled Ruiz aside. "There's something else." "What?" "Rex is breathing. His heart rate. When he saw Sarah, everything stabilized, like his body chose to keep going." Ruiz's eyes narrowed. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," Dr. Carter whispered, "that dog refused to die, because he knew she needed him." Ruiz stared at Rex, and for the first time in years, she believed in something bigger than evidence. The safe house was small, tucked into the woods outside the city. No neighbors, no cameras, no trail. Sarah sat on the couch, Rex's head in her lap. Ruiz sat across from them. Cole stood by the window, watching. "Sarah," Ruiz said gently, "I need you to tell me everything you remember about that night." Sarah's fingers tightened in Rex's fur. "It was late. My dad said we were going somewhere safe, but the car stopped, and men pulled me out. I tried to scream, but they covered my mouth." Her voice shook. "They took me to a house, a big one, with lots of rooms, and they locked me in the basement. I could hear people upstairs, shouting. And then—" She paused. "Then what?" Ruiz asked softly. "Then it got quiet, and I heard barking, and the door broke, and Rex was there." She looked down at him. "He wouldn't let anyone near me." Ruiz exchanged a glance with Cole. "Sarah," Ruiz continued, "do you remember what your dad looked like that night?" Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "Was he scared? Hurt?" "He was angry." Ruiz's stomach dropped. "At the men?" At me. The room went still. Why was he angry at you, sweetheart? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Because I wasn't supposed to be there. He kept saying, you weren't supposed to see this. Ruiz's jaw tightened. Vincent Cole wasn't a victim. He was part of it. Cole, the detective, stepped forward. Are you saying Sarah's father was involved in the trafficking? Ruiz nodded slowly. And Rex exposed him. That's why the case disappeared. That's why Greer buried it. Because Vincent Cole wasn't just some nobody. He was connected, protected, untouchable. Until Rex dragged his daughter out of that basement. Ruiz stood. We need to move fast. If Greer ran, that means they know we're onto them. What's the play? Cole asked. We reopen the case, publicly. With Sarah's testimony and Rex as evidence. A 6-year-old and a dog? A 6-year-old survivor, Ruiz corrected. And the K9 who saved her life. She looked at Rex. That's not just a story. That's proof. Cole nodded. I'll make the calls. As he stepped outside, Sarah spoke again. Detective Ruiz? Yes, sweetheart? Is my dad going to jail? Ruiz crouched beside her. Yes. Good. And for the first time since arriving, Sarah smiled. 2 days later, the story broke. Not quietly, not buried. Everywhere. Hero K9 exposes trafficking ring, then targeted for euthanasia. The press conference was packed. Cameras, reporters, phones recording from every angle. Detective Ruiz stood at the podium. Rex sat beside her. Sarah stood on his other side, one small hand resting on his back. The room buzzed with questions. Ruiz raised a hand. 6 weeks ago, during a routine raid, K9 Rex uncovered evidence of a human trafficking operation. He also rescued a 6-year-old girl locked in a basement. Flashes erupted. The case was buried, suspects were released, and Rex was scheduled for euthanasia under false medical claims. A reporter shouted, "Who ordered the cover-up?" Lieutenant Anthony Greer, currently wanted for obstruction of justice, falsifying records, and conspiracy. Another voice. And the girl's father? Ruiz's expression hardened. Vincent Cole has been arrested and charged with human trafficking, child endangerment, and conspiracy. The room exploded. Ruiz continued. Rex is alive today because he refused to give up, and because people like Dr. Elaine Carter and Officer Bradley Mitchell chose to do what was right, even when it was dangerous. She looked down at Rex. This dog is a hero, not just for what he found, but for who he saved. Sarah stepped forward. Her voice was small but clear. He saved me, and now I'm going to save him back. The room went silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Within seconds, the entire room was on its feet. 3 months later, the trial began. Vincent Cole sat at the defense table. Cold. Emotionless. Sarah sat in the witness box. Tiny. Brave. And Rex sat beside her. The judge had allowed it. An unprecedented move. But after reviewing the case, she agreed. Rex wasn't just evidence. He was a witness. Sarah's testimony was devastating. She described the basement, the voices, the fear. And then she described Rex. He broke the door. He stayed with me. He promised. The defense attorney tried to poke holes. How do you know he promised? Dogs can't talk. Sarah looked at him like he was the stupidest person alive. He didn't have to. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The prosecution called Dr. Carter next. She presented the falsified records, the altered dates, the impossible diagnosis. This dog was never dying, she said firmly. Someone wanted him dead because he was inconvenient. Then they called Mitchell. He described Greer's threats, the pressure to stay silent, the fear. "But then I saw Rex with that little girl," Mitchell said, "and I realized, if he wouldn't give up, neither could I." Finally, they played the recording. Greer's voice, cold, calculated. "Proceed as planned. That's an order." The jury deliberated for 2 hours, guilty on all counts. Vincent Cole showed no emotion as the verdict was read, but Sarah did. She turned to Rex, wrapped her arms around him, and whispered, "We did it." Rex didn't go back to the precinct. He retired, officially, with full honors, but he didn't retire alone. Sarah's grandmother, who'd taken custody after the trial, adopted him. Now, every morning, Rex wakes up in a house with a backyard, with toys, with a little girl who reads to him on the porch. He's gained weight. His fur grew back. His eyes are sharp again. Dr. Carter visits once a month. "Just to check in," she says. But really she comes because she still can't believe it. The dog who refused to die. Mitchell visits too. He brings treats, throws tennis balls, apologizes for things he doesn't need to apologize for. "You did the right thing," Dr. Carter tells him every time. "Barely," he mutters. But he did. And that's what matters. Greer was found 3 weeks after the trial, arrested at a border crossing. He'll spend the next 20 years in prison. The trafficking ring was dismantled. 12 arrests, hundreds of victims identified, all because of one dog, and one little girl who refused to let him go. Pause. On Rex's first birthday in his new home, Sarah throws him a party. Cake, balloons, friends from school who all want to meet the hero dog. As the sun sets, Sarah sits beside Rex on the porch. "You kept your promise," she whispers. Rex leans into her. Because some promises don't need words. They just need to be kept. And Rex? He always keeps his promises.